everything's going our way. It doesn't get much better than this. There's nowhere I'd rather be. Gone are those dark clouds, I sold them out to sea. These are the days when the sun comes down. Meet me underneath my kaleidoscope sun. Kaleidoscope sun. Yellow blue summertime, watching as our worries grow away. Feels like everything's going our way. Feels like everything's going our way. It doesn't get much better than this. There's nowhere I'd rather be. Gone are those dark clouds, I sold them out to sea. These are the days when the sun comes down. Meet me underneath my kaleidoscope.
Mountains and blue skies, big city skylines, built up by schemers, heavenly dreamers. Out on the highway, those endless white lines, chasing abandon, tempted my chances. I was heading nowhere.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission for December 20th. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Human,
Here.
Vice Chair Koschel,
Here.
Commissioner Quinn,
Here.
Commissioner Velasquez,
Here.
Commissioner Barrichello,
Here.
Commissioner sorry, Goya.
Here.
Gala. You have quorum.
Okay. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to lead us, that'd be great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So before this meeting, we had a study session, and there's additional stipulations from one of the items, but I do have a commissioner that had a question on item number 3. So do we need the applicant to come up? Okay, if the applicant could come up and answer the question of the commissioner, we'll leave it on consent for right now, but if we need to pull it, we'll pull it. So Commissioner Lopez?
Yes. So knowing I was trying to search for it, I didn't see it right away, but it could be in here somewhere. Are there electric vehicle charging stations on the property? Because I know you're going to get that question from the council.
Good evening. Yes, there are. It's one of our stipulations. We're going to be providing 6 electric vehicle charging stations.
Okay. That's the easy one. So there's a couple other ones around the garage. So I noticed, and we talked about the trash receptacle being in the first level of the garage. Correct? That's what I noticed in the southeast corner. And so the garage truck would need to be going into garbage truck would need to be going into the first level garage. And I didn't see the height because garbage trucks tend to be a lot higher than your average first level garage level. So I just wanted to make sure that that is going to be tall enough to accommodate a garbage truck, usually at a height of 12 feet or higher. So
I believe it is, but if you just give me a minute, I can double check that. Unless, Lisa, do you know off the top of your head?
Through the chair, actually, the collection of garbage is actually happening along that fire lane at the east property line. There are receptacles within the parking structure, but it's
okay.
it's picked up at that location in that area where there's a turnaround.
Where the private, on sorry, you said on the east side, so on the private drive.
Yes.
Yeah, yep, it's that. So
Oh, where it says refuse truck? So is there a dumpster there? It goes in through there?
yes, there's I believe, a dashed line of a large kind of a rectangle at that curb, at that curved area inside of the east property line. That's the location where they would be bringing the trash out to the truck from that inside corner or that southeast corner of the parking structure for collection.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So the garbage truck would need to go up the private drive and turn around
Yes.
in there?
Yes.
Okay. Um, does the owner of the Leach Painting place agree to that?
So I believe the owner of that property to the east was in attendance at the first neighborhood meeting, which was a virtual meeting, and did have some questions about that. But after discussion with the applicants, there were no further concerns. We
If
did
they're
not,
good with it and they bought off on it?
yeah,
Okay.
we have not received any letters of opposition
Okay.
or concerns or calls.
Right. Last one. I know I said I had two, but I didn't have a third.
I'm sorry, you said two, that's it.
2.1. Also on the list of the parking spaces amongst the the 11th Street, the multi levels of the garage, and I think this is kind of more of a nuance question, just for detail. You have a total of 420 provided parking spaces that are listed.
It's 414 parking spaces.
414. Okay, on your parking provided slide on the packet submission, page 14, it says total of 420
Mm,
with 11 on street, which would put you at 400 and whatever that comes out to 9 to be accounted for, of which 405 are in the garage. And then you have on the top of the table a 4, which counts into the 420, which doesn't say where it's located, and I couldn't find it anywhere else on the map. So just kind of wondering, the thing is, and after all reviewing everything, it's like you met the minimum requirement, was
14.
14 was the minimum, but you had 420, so you met it. But I was just kind of like, there's this 4 parking spaces hanging out somewhere that don't seem to be accounted for anywhere.
Actually, you know what? Through the chair, I actually did notice that on the table that's provided, just as I was putting the packet together. I suspect that's an errant number because it's at the top line where there's no, it's not labeled as
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
We can check on that.
Yeah.
When I reviewed it previously, we were coming in right at the 414. So we can double check that and make sure that we've got the correct number.
Okay. And with that 4 gone, because it is calculated in the 420, so it puts you at 416, which again meets the requirements, not a big deal. But yeah, just wondering if that was the EV charging stations, maybe it just didn't get labeled or something. But
We
just
did.
want to, attention to detail and make sure that gets corrected for future. Thank you. That's all I had.
Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, brief question.
One more, we have another question.
Lisa, can you bring up the elevations that show the top of the stairwell? Just a brief question on the material. Yeah, that's good there. So on on the left side of the rendering at the top, the stairwell and the parking structure top facade, is that considered that it would be set back far enough that it's really not going to be a visible item?
Uh, Through the chair, yes.
Okay.
The applicant has provided some visibility studies.
Okay.
I don't know if I have it in my.
It appears like it's not
Yeah,
visible, but I just wanted
by
to
virtue
clarify.
of the fact that it is internalized within the development, it really, I mean, you're out there like 400 some odd feet before you can actually get an angle perspective to see that additional height up top.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm not sure, Mr. Sure, go ahead. You're good, okay.
Yeah, through that conversation about the EV chargers and the number of parking stalls. So did we determine that the 6 EV charging stations are not part of the 414? In other words, there are additional parking spaces above and beyond what the minimum requirement would be.
Through the chair, that would be, those 6 would be included in the required 414.
Okay. And is our requirement, I'm sorry, I'm asking staff here, is our required parking assignable to individual units? In other words, every unit needs to have a certain number of parking. So if 414 is the calculation, and of that, there's 6 EV charging stations.
Yes, through the chair, that is correct. And in fact, the memo addendum that I provided, we did add a clarification to that stipulation regarding those assigned parking spaces. That reads, this is item number 7. The language was amended in the addendum memo to read minimum assigned parking spaces for multifamily residential. A minimum of 1 covered parking space shall be assigned to each efficiency studio or 1-bedroom unit, and a minimum of 2 parking spaces, at least one of which shall be covered, shall be assigned to each 2 or more bedroom units. The assigned spaces must be made available for the exclusive use of the tenant leasing the unit and may not be made available for use by other tenants or visitors.
I'm going to
Okay.
jump in real quick. I think there's a misunderstanding here. So if required is 414 and you have 416, I think is the number I read when you add the street parking, somewhere in that range. But is the 6 spaces part of the 414 that you have? So if there are, I think to the point is, are you really parked correctly? You're having 6 EV spaces, but those are in and out kind of spaces. Somebody's not going to sit there for hopefully for 24 hours.
Chairman, I'm going to jump in real quick. So the total number of parking is based on one calculation table, and then there's a separate table in that stipulation, a smaller table, that is what is to be assigned. So that 1 per efficiency studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 for the others, it does not equate to the total of 416. It's less than that number. We're just saying that of the 416, a portion of those have to be assigned to units, and they can't just be a free-for-all. The 6 electric vehicle charging, that of the 414 spaces, 6 of them need to be electric vehicle charging. They would be in the guest and overflow kind of extra parking spaces, but they're not part of the assigned. That's a much smaller number.
Okay, because I think that's what we were
Okay,
getting
that's
at.
what I'm,
That's what the
kind of what
commission
I'm
was
getting at.
was, are
So
we
what is,
parked in it? Yeah.
what is the required number of parking stalls that need to be assigned for the community?
We'd have to do that math based on the breakdown of how many 1s and 2s. We can get back with you with that. I don't think we're gonna be able to crank that up right now, though.
Get out the calculator. Okay, I mean, I think that's an important thing. If you're with all these calculations and, people are very cognizant of parking and making sure that we're parking per code, which I'm sure that you are, but I think it would be helpful for us to see what is that calculation versus what are you providing, then we probably won't have these questions.
I'm going to pull this to action we're having a lot of dialogue. So let's go through the other study session items and we'll come back to this as an action item. Yes, Steph? Just to clarify some of the things to get them back on the record properly and stuff. So, okay. All right, let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the audience real quick. So to the audience, we had prior to the regular session, we had a study session, and that's going to include items number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, 6 being a cancellation of the next meeting. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to comment on any of those items? Okay. If not, do I have a motion on those items that I just read? Being
Sure.
1, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 3.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so now we're going to go to item number 3. And so we just have some clarification on the record here. Kevin, you jumping in here? Or are you doing the math? We'll give it a minute or two. You guys can calculate here. You're good? You crunch the numbers really fast?
So I think we've crunched the numbers.
Hold on one second here. So,
So, through the chair, my colleagues helped with crunching those numbers. And what that comes out to is 353 of the required 414 parking spaces would be assigned
stalls.
dedicated spaces to those tenants, which would leave 61 spaces open and available for visitor parking.
And of the 61, 6 of those are the EVs?
The electric chargers will be included in that.
Included the 60, whatever that
Yeah.
gets. Okay, that's what we're trying to clarify and stuff. So, Commissioner Kyle.
Yeah, so just a question to, looking at the vehicle parking analysis, I see the number of units and the parking unit ratio accordingly. So that equals, for the 253 units, doing those calculations, that equals 414 spaces, right? Where is the guest parking spaces calculated in that formula? Like, I would think the 414 just covers the number of units, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms per the ratio. But I would anticipate it's one guest space per 10 parking spaces, I think is maybe the code. I could be wrong on that, but I didn't see anywhere clarified how much guest parking was included in this. So that was just a.
Chairman, that's a good, through the chair, that's a good question. So historically, that code, the parking unit ratio assumed tenant and guest. And so the 1, 1.5, and 2, and 2.5 assumed the tenant and the guest. Those numbers, you guys are part of our cornucopia code update that we're moving forward. It's going to be going to council the first part of next year. We're proposing to add to that guest parking ratio. Initially it was 0.25, 0.2, 0.25. It's going to be somewhere in that range. So it would be additional to that. It's just not in our code today.
So,
Commissioner Lopez.
Sorry. Doing calculations here. So yeah, because we required with the new stipulation, 1 space assigned and covered for every studio and bedroom. And then 2 spaces assigned, one of which would be covered for the 2 and 3 bedroom, right? So that 0.25 that hangs off the 3 bedroom and the 0.5 that hangs off the 1 bedroom, it totals at 61 spaces. So then I'm assuming that means that there's 61 guest parking, then everything else assigned and all that. And within those 61 then is where your EV chargers then come in within those 6. Now, just a side question. I think clarity, now that we've got the numbers, I think we're good. Everything looks well covered. That 4 they still deal with somewhere. I don't know where that 4 comes from. But anyway, is there an option for the EVs to also be assigned as a space? Just as a thought.
Chairman, we would say yes. We don't want to get into the that level of management of how they assign spaces. We just say you have to assign a space to it. If management decides to take one of those 6 and assign it to a unit because that person that year, it's fluid. I think they're going to move and reassign spaces.
Yeah, I guess I want to clarify that I don't think that should be something we be involved in. It's kind of more to the applicant of, hey, if I'm renting a 3 bedroom and I've got 2 Teslas and I definitely need one as a charging, because as we know, those charging stations fill up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I do have a Tesla. I come downtown sometimes looking for a charging station and no luck. So just, as I guess more as a seed for the applicant, so they're making sure that the EV charging stations may be able to be assigned to for their
And
leasers.
I'll agree with staff that I don't think we need to dictate how.
And
they
I
assign
would not
stuff
either
here.
want that dictated in
So, but
in
if they have enough
policy.
complaints, if they have 30 people with EVs and people are sitting there all night, I think the management's going to have to figure that out and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Yep.
Good.
Any other questions on?
No, I think we're good now.
Everybody's
And
good.
since I spurred a lot of this conversation,
Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
are we okay for a motion?
So I'm going to go back to the audience. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to talk on this item? Okay. All right, so there are, I know there was some concerns from the cement company. And I think the stipulations the staff talked about that are in there are great. I think that'll alleviate some of those kinds of things, which are important. But there are also 2 additional stipulations that need to be read into the record. Number 1, planning staff amended rezoning stipulation number 7 related to the assigned parking. And that's the minimum assigned parking spaces for multifamily residential. A minimum of 1 covered parking space shall be assigned to each efficiency studio or 1-bedroom unit, and a minimum of 2 parking spaces, at least one of which shall be covered, shall be assigned to each 2 or more bedroom unit. The assigned spaces must be made available for the exclusive use of the tenant leasing the unit and may not be made available for use by other tenants or visitors. And then also another stipulation, building height shall not exceed 70 feet. The parking thing is basically based on our new formulas that were worked on, that commission worked on about a month ago, and it's going through council right now. So that's why I think staff put that in there. So anyway, if anything else, nobody else in the audience? Okay. Do I have a motion from the commission with
Sure.
those additional stipulations that I read? Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, I move for the approval of PLH 23-0038, PLH 23-0039 Greyhawk Residence, Chandler, located at the northeast corner of Fry Road and Nevada Street, approximately 1/4 mile east of Arizona Avenue, including the 2 additional stipulations.
Okay. Do I have a
Second.
Commissioner Kyles, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you to the applicant. Thank you to staff. Staff, any comments for tonight?
I literally feel like I was just here 12 months ago thanking the commission for all their work in 22, and here we are finishing up 23. I don't know where time is going, but it is speeding up. I sincerely want to thank you all for, and I know you're brand new, but thank you for serving. But thank you for all your efforts this year. That code update that is going to council the first time of the year, it is the largest amount of code in one bucket that we've ever brought in my 2 decades and David's 2 decades. And so it was, you guys had some incredible feedback and input and suggestions, and it just made it better. So, and then that's not to diminish all the other cases that you guys reviewed over the years and everything. So it's been a crazy, crazy year. I'm looking forward to 24. But thank you all for your service this year. I want to wish you guys a happy holidays and safe and happy New Year.
Great. And thank you to the staff. I mean, you guys put a lot of hours in making it easier for us when they get here, that you've kind of vetted the project, so we're not sitting here at length discussing things, and you kind of know what the commission wants when you talk to applicants, so it's not just a bunch of, I guess, smoke blowing that you're going to try and go by. So I do appreciate that as well. And so I just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, a happy and healthy New Year, and 2024 will bring us hopefully a level of sanity for the world. So thank you. Any other comments from anybody? Oh, Commissioner Quinn. Okay. With that, meeting adjourned.